Imagine opening your eyes one morning and feeling a strange unease, as if the life you're living doesn't truly belong to you. The job you work, the choices you've made, even the dreams you chase, what if most of them were never born from your deepest self, but instead planted there by parents, teachers, culture, and a world constantly telling you who you should be? It's uncomfortable to admit, but many of us are actors in a play we never auditioned for. We wear roles like costumes, speak lines we've been taught, and walk along paths we never questioned. The frightening truth. We might spend years, even decades, mistaking that performance for our authentic life. Carl Gustav Jung, one of the great explorers of the human mind, warned about this trap. He believed that life does not truly begin until you meet yourself, not the polite, well-behaved mask you present to the world, but the raw, unfiltered you hidden beneath layers of expectation. Finding yourself, in Jung's view, is not simply about knowing your personality type or identifying your strengths. It's a profound transformation, a journey into the depths of your own psyche to reclaim the parts of you that have been silenced or forgotten. But before we can speak of freedom, we must understand the prison. From the day we are born, society hands us a ready-made identity. We are given names, assigned labels, taught which behaviors earn love and which invite punishment. We are rewarded for conformity and shamed for stepping out of line. Bit by bit, we push away the emotions, ideas, and instincts that don't fit the script, hiding them in the shadows of our mind. To survive, we create what Jung called the persona, the face we show the world. This mask is useful. It helps us navigate relationships, get jobs, and avoid conflict. But over time, something dangerous happens. We begin to mistake the mask for the truth of who we are. We forget there's more beneath the surface, an entire landscape of thoughts, feelings, and desires that have been buried. And then there is the other side, the shadow. If the persona is the carefully edited image we present to others, the shadow is everything we reject in ourselves, the fears we deny, the impulses we hide, the wounds we refuse to acknowledge. The shadow doesn't disappear simply because we ignore it. It lives within us, influencing our behavior in ways we often can't see, surfacing as sudden anger, deep envy, or an irrational dislike for certain people. Most people avoid looking at their shadow because it's uncomfortable, even frightening. But Jung saw it differently. The shadow is not an enemy, it's the missing half of your wholeness. To meet yourself, truly meet yourself, you must be willing to step into that darkness, not to destroy it, but to integrate it. This is where the real journey begins. Shedding the mask. Facing the shadow. And asking the most dangerous question of all, who am I, when the world is not watching? In the next part, we'll explore why most people never take that step, and how the hidden parts of you, the ones you've been taught to silence, might hold the very key to your freedom. If finding yourself is the key to a life of authenticity, why do so few people ever do it? The answer lies in the invisible walls we build, and the ones that are built for us. From the moment we take our first breath, we are shaped by forces far greater than we realize. Family expectations, cultural norms, school rules, religious beliefs, all form an invisible net that catches and contains us. We learn early what will be rewarded, and what will be met with silence, scolding, or shame. It's a subtle education. No one needs to say outright, hide this part of you. The look in a parent's eyes, the disapproval in a teacher's voice, the laughter of classmates, it's enough to make us lock certain pieces of ourselves away. Perhaps as a child you spoke with unfiltered curiosity, only to be told, don't be silly. Perhaps you expressed big dreams, only to hear, be realistic. Or maybe you cried openly, and were told to stop being so sensitive. These moments may seem small, but they leave deep marks. Bit by bit, we learn to edit ourselves, keeping only the parts that win approval. The rest is hidden in that psychological basement Jung called the shadow. Over time, the mask, the persona, becomes so natural we hardly notice we're wearing it. We think, this is who I am. But it isn't. It's simply who we learn to be in order to belong. The tragedy is that the persona and the shadow are always connected. The more we polish the mask, the darker and more distorted the shadow becomes. And because we don't look at it, we can't see how it drives us. That's why you might feel an intense dislike for someone without understanding why. Often, it's because they reflect something in yourself you've buried. Jung called this projection, when we see in others what we refuse to see in ourselves. Most people spend their entire lives avoiding these inner truths. And it's not because they are lazy or weak, it's because the process is uncomfortable, even painful. Facing yourself means stripping away the lies you've told about who you are. It means sitting in silence with the parts of you that were never loved, never accepted. But here's the paradox: those very parts, the ones you've been running from, are the missing pieces of your wholeness. Within the shadow are your unclaimed strengths, your hidden courage, and your untapped creativity. To deny them is to live as a fragment of yourself. To embrace them is to become whole. This is the work Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey of integrating all aspects of who you are, the light, the dark, the strengths, the flaws, the masculine and the feminine. It's not about creating a perfect self, but about becoming a complete self. And yet, integration is only possible if we dare to step into the unknown. Because what comes next will shake the foundation of your identity, the moment you realize that the person you think you are, may only be a small part of the truth. In the next part, we will go deeper into the inner landscape of the psyche, and uncover the hidden patterns, the ancient archetypes, that silently shape your choices, relationships, and destiny. If the shadow and persona are two sides of your personal mask, there's something even older and deeper at work inside you, forces that have been here long before you were born. Carl Jung called them archetypes, ancient patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior that live in the collective human psyche. They are not inventions of the modern mind. They've been carried for thousands of years, passed down through stories, myths, and dreams. You can find them in ancient epics, fairy tales, religious texts, and even in the movies you watch today. Think of the brave hero setting off on a dangerous quest. The wise mentor who offers guidance. The villain who tempts, tests, or destroys. The innocent child whose purity brings transformation. These are not just characters in fiction, they are living forces within you. The hero archetype is that part of you that longs for purpose, that seeks to overcome obstacles and grow into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. But the hero is never alone. Following close behind is the shadow, carrying your fears, doubts, and wounds. In every great myth, the hero must confront a monster, a dark enemy, or a terrifying challenge. In real life, that monster is often your own hidden pain, your self-doubt, your inner resistance to change. Have you ever had the chance to step into a bigger version of yourself, and hesitated? You felt the call to act, but fear whispered, "You're not ready, you'll fail, stay safe." That is the eternal battle between the hero and the shadow, playing out inside your mind. The mistake most people make is trying to destroy or ignore the shadow. Jung believed this was a waste, even dangerous. The shadow holds lessons and strengths that the hero needs to grow. True transformation comes not from fighting the shadow, but from integrating it, learning from it, embracing it, allowing it to make you whole. But archetypes don't stop with the hero and the shadow. One of Jung's most important insights was that every man carries an inner feminine, and every woman carries an inner masculine. He called these the anima, the feminine within a man, and the animus, the masculine within a woman. The anima is the voice of intuition, emotional depth, creativity, and connection to the unconscious. The animus is the energy of logic, structure, discipline, and assertiveness. When these two forces are balanced, you feel a sense of inner harmony. But when one is denied, conflict arises. A man who rejects his anima may become emotionally distant, fearing vulnerability as weakness. A woman who rejects her animus may hesitate to take control of her life, feeling powerless or overly dependent on others. But when these inner energies are accepted rather than suppressed, they become sources of tremendous power, intuition balanced by reason, emotion balanced by action. And this is where Jung's message becomes clear. To find yourself, you must embrace all of yourself, the hero and the shadow, the masculine and the feminine, the known and the unknown. But there is still one more layer, the deepest one. The truth that will challenge your entire understanding of who you are. Because the greatest illusion is not just the mask you wear, it's the idea that you are a fixed, unchanging self at all. In the next part, we'll pull back the final curtain, and explore Jung's radical idea that your identity is far more fluid, vast, and interconnected than you've ever imagined. We've explored the mask you wear, the shadow you hide, and the archetypes that shape you. But now, we step into the most unsettling realization of all, the possibility that the you've been trying to find, might not even exist in the way you think. Most people move through life believing they are a solid, unchanging identity, a single self carried forward from childhood to old age. They define themselves by their name, their past, their achievements, their failures. They cling to stories about who they are. I'm this kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. But what if this entire sense of stability is an illusion? Carl Jung, along with mystics and philosophers across history, saw the self not as a fixed object, but as something fluid, vast, and ever-evolving. The person you believe yourself to be today is only one expression, a temporary shape taken by a much greater consciousness that stretches far beyond the limits of your personal story. What if the self is more like an ocean, with the part you see on the surface being just a single wave? The wave has a shape, a name, a moment of life, but it is still the ocean. Your true self, the totality of who you are, contains far more than the labels and limitations you've been taught to carry. This understanding is both liberating and terrifying. Liberating because it means you're not chained to your past or your mistakes. Terrifying because it means you can no longer hide behind a narrow identity, you are responsible for who you become in each moment. The force that keeps you locked into the illusion of a fixed self is the ego. The ego is not inherently bad, it helps you function in daily life, gives you a sense of boundaries, and keeps you grounded. But it also builds walls, defines who you think you are, and fears anything that threatens that identity. It is the voice that says, stay the same. Don't risk. Don't change. Jung's path to freedom was not about destroying the ego, but about loosening its grip. The moment you stop clinging to labels, I am this, I am not that, you create space for growth. When you step beyond the need to constantly defend your identity, you discover that you can reinvent yourself over and over again. The journey requires courage. Embracing the unknown, welcoming uncertainty instead of running from it. Releasing attachment to labels, letting go of the small boxes in which you've trapped yourself. Listening to the unconscious, allowing dreams, instincts, and synchronicities to guide you toward your deeper truth. And perhaps most importantly, it requires surrendering to the process. Finding yourself is not a single breakthrough or a final destination, it is an unfolding, layer after layer, over an entire lifetime. Here is the paradox, you were never truly lost. The self you have been searching for has always been here, quietly waiting beneath the noise of conditioning, fear, and ego. When you stop clinging to the surface, you can finally touch the depth. But before we finish this journey, there is one final step, the moment where all of Jung's insights converge into a single truth, that life only truly begins when you step into the fullness of who you are, unafraid and unapologetic. In the last part, we will bring everything together, the shadow, the archetypes, the ego, and the vastness of the self, into a call to action you cannot ignore. You now know the journey. You've seen the mask, the persona, that keeps you acceptable to the world, but distant from yourself. You've glimpsed the shadow, the locked room where your rejected truths wait to be acknowledged. You've met the archetypes, the ancient patterns that breathe through your life story. You've questioned the illusion of a fixed identity, and you've seen how the ego can both protect and imprison you. Now the question is not whether you can find yourself, but whether you will choose to. Most people hear these ideas and nod in agreement, then return to the safety of their familiar patterns. They tell themselves they will begin one day. But the truth is, there is no one day. There is only now, and now is the only doorway to the life that belongs to you. Stepping into that life means letting go of the false comforts of pretending you're already whole. It means turning toward the shadow with curiosity instead of fear. It means having the courage to speak the truth even when your voice shakes, to make choices that honor your inner compass rather than the world's applause. It's not easy. The moment you begin living from your true self, resistance will appear. Old fears will rise. People may not understand. Some will drift away. But this is the price of freedom, and it is a price worth paying. Jung's work was never about creating a perfect person. It was about becoming a whole person, one who can hold both light and darkness without being destroyed by either. Wholeness is not purity. It is integration. It is the ability to say, yes, I contain contradictions, and still, I am complete. When you embrace your inner feminine and masculine, you stop fearing vulnerability and you stop fearing strength. When you stop running from the shadow, you discover it was carrying gifts you needed all along. When you loosen the grip of the ego, you realize that who you are is not limited to your past, your failures, or even your present self-image. And here lies the ultimate shift. You no longer live to meet expectations. You live to embody the truth of who you are, not in theory, not as a future goal, but here and now. Life begins when you stop chasing approval and start living in alignment with your inner truth. It begins when you accept that the world may not always applaud your choices, but you can stand by them without regret. It begins when you recognize that the most valuable relationship you will ever have is the one you build with yourself. The world does not need another mask. It does not need another person living on autopilot. It needs people who are alive from the inside out, people who are awake, present, and unapologetically themselves. So here is the question only you can answer. Will you continue to move through life as a fragment, shaped by fear and illusion? Or will you step into the unknown, into the fullness of the vast, limitless being you were always meant to become? Because the truth is this. Life does not truly begin until you find yourself. And now, you know the way.